Well, hello and welcome to a very special edition of Track Talk. It is time to have a look at the season review that has been 2022. Plenty of highs and a lot of talking points as well. So we're going to focus on mostly our big races that have taken part throughout the season. And it has been a great year after what has been some very trying times in the last couple of years here, not only in Singapore but around the world. And it's great to see racing back at the forefront here in Singapore. And one man to help me get underway and have a look at some discussions here on the show is Raymond Yong, who joins us here on Track Talk. How are you, Ray?
Oh, thank you, Scott. Thank you for having me here. In fact, a wonderful year in 2022, as we all remember. This is a very trying time, as Scott had mentioned. The restricted measure has just lifted, and we have live audience somewhere in August 2022. An exciting year for us, and we have 10 feature races. Although it was half in terms of numbers, but nevertheless, it was such an exciting time for us.
It certainly was. First topic of mention we're going to bring up, Ray, is we're going to have a look at the Premiership standings and how they finished up for the year. And what a year for Tim Fitzsimmons. 65 wins for the Australian handler. Formerly assistant trainer to Cliff Brown, as everyone knows. He took out a licence in 2019. He had a throw at the stumps. And now he's champion trainer in his third full season of training.
Oh yes, his third year. He's still pretty young for trainers here in Singapore, and he makes such a big leap in terms of his horses, in terms of quality and in terms of quantity as well. He keep on going. You see some horses that are still young and they progress tremendously, and winning this Premiership was an outstanding performance from him.
He made it a real ding-dong battle coming to the end of the season. It made for a nice talking point with us on the show and on race days. Donna Logan, the Kiwi trainer, now the head trainer for Tiaka Racing and Fortuna. And she sat on 59 wins at the end, just couldn't hold off the fast-finishing Tim Fitzsimmons, who was happy to get a couple of trebles on the last few meetings. And she'll sit in second place, very hungry to get that trainer's title next year. Michael Clements on 51, the former champion trainer. Ricardo Lagrange, we'll touch upon him later in the show, a big race success for him at the end of the year. 36 wins for the South African. And Jason Ong, who's ticked a few boxes to have a big season next year, 33 wins. He headlines the local training brigade. Manuel Nunes, Raymond Yong, 81 wins, gives him his fourth champion jockey crown here in Singapore for the Brazilian rider. And he missed 3 months of it as well.
Yes, missing 3 months of racing due to his injuries. Despite that, he's still way on top of the rest of the jockey. It shows that he's a class above the rest of. I mean, not taking away anything from the rest of the jockeys, but he's such a wonderful rider, and he proved himself to be a champion jockey.
Jimmy Wong on 43. He had some big race success as well. Vlad Jurek, who came late in the season, finished on 34, the former multiple champion rider, and he'll be establishing himself next season. Danny Beasley, who farewelled Singapore last weekend on his last ride here. He will be going to Hong Kong to ride Lims Kosciuszko next on the 11th of December. And Oscar Chavez, who was out suspended for the later part of the year, sat on 24. Fazla Yousaf won the Apprentice's title on 22 wins ahead of Rosman Iskander. Geraldine Siao, our only female licensed rider, who sat on third position, and she is primed with a nice claim next year to have a crack at her apprentice title as well. Prison Tangamani on 11 and Ibrahim Mamat on 9. Ray, obviously a few talking points in regards to the premierships as well. Tim Fitzsimmons has established himself as a big stable for next year. He's got the big owners coming. He's purchased a lot of horses as well. He's got big support from the likes of Buffalo Stable, Jig Racing, who is a real up-and-coming stable as well. They're buying really nice bloodstock, not only from Australia but other parts of the world.
Oh, the fact is that the quantity of his horses are great in numbers, and also the quality as well. You can see some of the horses that are coming through the rank, like as just mentioned, Golden Monkey, progressively improving month by month. So you can see a lot of horses coming up from him, and I will see a big, going to be another big year for him again next year.
And we heard some good news, obviously, a couple of months ago, or just recently as well, before the sales took place, is we're going to get more feature races next year. And that's good news for owners, because we have had a busy time at the sales in the last couple of months. Trainers have been getting on the flights with their owners. They've been going to Melbourne, Sydney, New Zealand and the Gold Coast. So we're seeing big numbers coming into Singapore. I think about 20 to 30 horses were bought at each sale in the names of Singapore ownership. and that means very healthy numbers growing towards next season.
That's a very good shot. In fact, we have seen the feature races going to increase to 20 races in the next year, which is a very good sign since that, because of the COVID restriction measure, next year we're coming up. I think next year is going to be a very exciting year for us as well.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to having a couple of feature Group 1 races back on the calendar, as well as a couple of race series taking place. Triple Crown action as well, like days gone by, Ray, where we saw horses winning those lead-up races towards the Group 1 Gold Cup and also the Sprint Series as well. So we're looking forward to those races taking place next year. Let's get into our first race that we will tackle on our race year review, and that is the International Group 3 Cranji Mile, which was taken out by Limbs Lightning in May the 21st. We did race behind closed doors at the start of the year, but the gates had opened after the pandemic rules were lifted, and we started to see crowds back at the races, and they saw a very handy galloper winning the Cranji Mile. Let's take a look at the highlight.
Number 1, Limbs Lightning Horse of the Year, last start freshen up. This is the 1600 meters. He's well suited here.
The flag's raised, the 16 are on their way. Let's rock and roll to the outside. Fame Star goes up to an early lead. Was Minister, Spirit of Big Bang following them in the run there. On the outside was Sacred Qua, and best of the rest was Heartening Flyer. They straighten up into the lane in the Cranji Mile, and it's Fame Star for Jerlyn Xiao, hoping to get her dream Group 1 success. Limbs Kosciuszko on the outside presenting. Limbs Lightning on the inside also game, and also there as well is Hard to Think, but it's Limbs Lightning! Limbs Lightning on the inside, second up, lifting, Sacred Choir off the canvas, Fame Star also there as well. Could it be a fairy tale start to 2022? Limbs Lightning under the bat from Jimmy Wong wins the Cranji Mile. Limbs Lightning, you superstar, beats home.
Dan Ma, another Group 1 for Limbs Lightning, last year's Horse of the Year. Every Group 1 for you is special, but this horse just continues to defy.
You got me, Scotty. Yeah, he's an amazing horse, you know, like we were struggling with him this time in. He was not the same horse, and I just feel sorry for Danny, but great for CC.
Absolutely. He was given a peach ride. He swapped back to the inside rail. He was just travelling. He didn't want to be on anything else at the 400 metre mark. And just as I said, a great training effort by you. Second up, you had him spot on.
Thanks, mate, but he's a great horse and just shows his true class. As I said, we're struggling with him. I just feel, yeah, it's good.
Very emotional, mate. I'll let you get over to your Group 1 winner. Well done. Great. Well, CC Wong, an 11 out of 10 ride to win a Group 1 Cranji Mile. How are you feeling, mate? That was an extraordinary ride.
The feeling I can't explain, and it's an amazing feeling when we pass the post, and this is my first group. Big thanks to the owner, all the connection. I don't know what to say, but really thank you very much, and my first Group 1 in Singapore.
You were really travelling at the 300 metre mark. You just had to get that clear running room, and it was game over from there.
Look, he got a good draw definitely to make my job more easier. I just jump and just let him balance himself up nicely, and I got him the rear. He's traveling beautiful and comfortably with settling very well. He's just behind the pace, and I just traveling, come into the straight and just wait for the run. Eventually the run come through, opens up the fence, and once the gaps open, the horse just do by himself and just go. The feeling is amazing, and he gave the response really well, and he's a proven horse. He's a Horse of the Year 2021. He know what to do. One need a straight, he do by himself, he get the job done.
Well done, mate. Enjoy the first Group 1 here in Singapore, and there's going to be many more to come.
Hopefully, thank you very much.
That was a real career highlight for Jimmy Wong, Ray. His first Group 1, he's been a very talented rider here for so long, and it was very much deserved, and it wasn't his only group success, as we'll touch upon later in the show. But what a horse Limbs Lightning has been for Dan Ma. Just have a look at last season. He won the Lion City Cup earlier in the year in wet conditions where he came from well back. He then went on to win a Singapore Gold Cup off for top weight for Danny Beasley, and now he comes out and wins a Cranji Mile. So he's won pretty much our three main headline races.
In fact, last year he was the first horse. In fact, throughout my career here in Singapore, he's the first one that carried 58 kilogram and won Singapore Gold Cup for a very long time, and not an easy feat for horses to compete in Singapore Gold Cup, to winning in the top rate. And subsequently, he came on at 1400 meters. He didn't really perform that well, but there was a little question mark whether can he handle the 60. I should say, was he in the top 100% form of in 2021? But he proved us wrong once again. No, he's such an outstanding performer.
I think what must be applauded, Denmark's training effort of this horse. I mean, he was here early on in his career as a 2-year-old and 3-year-old. They then sent him over to Australia. He didn't hit the heights that they thought he was going to do. He started in Queensland. He then went down to the Marr stable of Chris Marr, his brother, in Victoria. He won a race at Werribee, which is provincial racing, country racing. I think they go around for about $20,000 to $22,000 a race. It's not exactly headline racing, but to come back to Singapore and win all these feature races, I think it's just an absolutely outstanding effort.
Performance. Yeah, the way he turned around was outstanding, winning the 2,000 meters Singapore Gold Cup. Of course, not joining this 2022, but he's such an outstanding horse. It's a great performance for Dan.
He did have an injury later on in the year, so we didn't see him in any more feature success. Dan Marr was quick to tell us when we had him here on the show that he did have a hind leg issue, nothing too severe, but that he wouldn't race on in 2022. But all going well, we will see him back at the feature races next season. Let's move on to our next feature race, and it was a Group 3 Singapore 3-year-old sprint, and it took place on the 18th of June. And this was a really big win for Tim Fitzsimmons and an up-and-coming sprinter in Golden Monkey. Let's take a look at him.
Is Golden Monkey, the 3-year-old by Star Turn, who was very impressive not only in his open maiden win, but was undone by the gate in the novice last start, but since then has had to put in a really, really nice trial. Set now, off in the Group 3. To the inside, Renzo bounced well. Silent is Gold. He caught the start incredibly well. 1.5 lengths here. To Silent is Gold in second. Golden Monkey of the camp off them on third. They were followed there by Renzo, looking for runs. Alcantur in behind them, still prominent from Montana Flash. Back up on the inside was Watery. Up in front now, Silent is Gold takes over. Here's Golden Monkey. Golden Monkey goes on by the Monkey. Golden Monkey out clear from Silent is Gold, and under the roars of the crowd and the connections who have come from all over the world, there's a fall in the back, but it is Golden Monkey who takes out the 3-year-old sprint. Golden Monkey goes on to score by 3 lengths, wins it in a romp. Silent is Gold second. They've lined up. Tim Fitzsimmons, I'll just get you a quick chat from you. Congratulations on the 3-year-old sprint. Obviously a bad sensation to the end of the race, but unfortunately that's a part of horse racing. It can't take away from the fact that your boy was great.
He was fantastic. Yeah, it's terrible to hear, but I think Manny's up, hopefully. But yeah, no, it was amazing. He did today what we expected him to do. Last start, he drew 14 and he was running around that turn, and he had a really tough run. He put in a really good run at the winner last start, but he just peaked on his run, and he's just come on leaps and bounds. And yeah, really exciting horse, and he's run an amazing time, and it's just great. There's a lot of guys up from Australia, and for them all to be here, it's just massive.
It's a massive win for them as well. Obviously, them as owners, this is the people that we need to be winning these big races. Get them back, get investing, and you know what? It's good to see them have success.
Oh, 100%. There's so many people who love visiting Singapore, and these guys haven't been able to come for a couple of years, and now to have a really smart horse, it just gives them a reason to get back up here, and it's exciting times.
Congratulations and well done.
Cheers.
Really nice race, Ray. Obviously, a bit of bad luck and bad news in the race. Alcantur falling in the last 200 metres. That was the race that put Manuel Nunez out on the sidelines for a good 3 months with a fractured neck or a vertebrae, I believe it was. And he was very lucky to come out the way he did, because it could have been a lot worse than what it was.
Yeah, thank goodness he managed to pull through, and there was a little injuries, but subsequently he was able to come back and perform here in Singapore as well. Talk about Golden Monkey, his performance in the Open Maiden, he won in the Open Maiden. That was, I would say, not a very strong class in that time, right? And then subsequently was narrowly beaten by Silent is Gold. At that moment, that the first series of 3 years old, we thought that he might not be able to toll. He was a favourite, of course, Golden Monkey, but he improved so much after that, and he keep on improving, subsequently winning the 3 years old series.
He certainly did. Obviously, now we get the Singapore Guineas back into the equation next year. That's going to be on the calendar. Do you think he would have got to a 1,600 metre distance, or would they have kept him at the sprint?
I'm not sure. He done one in 1,400 metres, right? He looks like a sprinter to me at the moment. Yet to be proven, of course. Anything can happen. Like Lim's Lightning even step on 2,000 metres. But at this point in time, maybe up to 1,400 metres.
We saw a little bit of form from that race. Silent is Gold was Golden Monkey's main rival in the 3-year-old series. He finished second on that occasion. Now, he's come out and won a couple of races in Class 4 grade. I think he looks to be a pretty competitive horse for next season, and Stephen Gray.
Yes, he's one of our strong competitors as well. Hopefully, for all these 3 years old and young up and coming, the sky's the limit. Next year's 4 years old series, I think we'll see a lot of them coming this next season, and it'll be very competitive for them as well.
That was a really nice edition of the 3-year-old sprint. And what brings us to the end of our first segment here on the year review for 2022. We're going to take a pause and be back with the 3-year-old classic after this.